Hello and welcome to WWJPS. I am your host, Vanessa Pinto. So, have you guys noticed that a lot of Americans are completely crashing out due to the cost of living and just every other thing that's going wrong in this country?
This is happening to anybody else in America, but it's getting pretty fucking annoying with me. So I had a phone plan that I started about a year and a half ago. It was about $115 a month. A little overpriced for a single line, but sure. I was willing to pay it. Come a year and a half later, they're trying to charge me $167 a month for the rest of the contract. They don't specify why. They just, it's extra service fees. I'm sorry. $47 more in service fees a month I have to pay? That makes no. And then I literally go to my auto insurance, which was quoted to me when I first started the policy, which was a 6-month policy, at $311. $311. It's way overpriced, but I drive an Audi, so what the ever. I guess I'll pay the $300 a month for insurance. Then I go back to my policy, and they're telling me I owe $374 a month for the remaining 3 months. Extra accrued service fees. My storage unit used to be $97 a month for my stuff. It is now $145. They raised the price on the contract and on the agreement that I made with the company. This is the same with the insurance company. This is the same with the phone plan company that I'm putting this video on.
Yeah, you notice that they can change the plan on us. They can change the rate on us. Welcome to America. The consumer does not matter. We're going to rape you for every single nickel and dime. This episode is to essentially kind of remind everyone that a lot of us are in the same boat. So if you feel frustrated, if you feel broke, if you feel like life in this country is exceptionally hard, you are not wrong. So sit back and let's listen to the airing of all of the grievances.
We're going to get sick and tired of corporate America taking our money. I'm getting real sick and tired of this. This isn't even like a political view on left or right side or anything like that. I'm sick of America stealing from its citizens. I'm sick of corporate billion-dollar conglomerate oligarchies that continue to throw little fees and fines on us like we owe it, like we have to force ourselves to pay because they contractually can keep us in a contract. It's getting old. How did my bills go up over $400 in the past month from accrued fees? They can't even specify why those fees were raised. We need to hold these people accountable. These CEOs, CFOs, these owners of these corporate businesses, billion-dollar wallets packed. All these rich, horrible people where it's like, well, they earned it fair and square. Yeah, by people over and ripping people off with accrued fees, fines, and until their pockets are so lined, they don't even know what to do with their money, while the rest of us sit here and struggle and feed off of breadcrumbs on the ground, going, it's the government, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's everything else but exactly what corporate America is standing for right now. They don't give a about us citizens. They only give a about their company, and they just want to sit there money hungry, just shoveling their face.
He's so mad. God bless it.
Feed them bread and entertain them with the circus to keep them occupied so they're not paying attention to the people in power and what they're doing behind the scenes. What happens if the middle class is gone? Right? Because essentially the middle class is the bread and circus. Right? The objective, if I'm like an elite and I want to keep my population, in order and civilized, I make them middle class, right? So what happens if the 1% and all the corporations have all the money? What happens is society collapses, right? Because every human relationship costs money, right? Literally, if there's no middle class in America and the 1% has all the money, America doesn't work, right? So what does that lead to? I don't know. I think we're about to find out. I think America is going to break. And then what happens after that, I don't know.
Isn't it insane that wanting a normal life now is considered a luxury? We're not asking for yachts. We're not asking for mansions. We're literally just asking for a life that doesn't feel like drowning. A place to live that doesn't take our entire paycheck. A car that doesn't require a loan longer than the relationship that got us into it. And groceries that don't feel like a punishment for trying to eat. We're not chasing some billionaire fantasy. We just want a fair shot. We want time with our families. We want energy after work instead of collapsing on the couch, praying that the weekend feels longer than 6 minutes.
Households believe their financial situation has worsened, reflecting a concern that continues to grow over time. As a result, many families must have 2 jobs to cover their basic expenses and make ends meet.
So many of us do have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. That takes multiple incomes.
My father came to this country with essentially a high school education. He got his real training in the Navy. He didn't even speak the language when he got here. By the time he died, and he got here in the 60s, he had, the credit score was through the roof. He'd owned 4 homes. He had owned several cars. He'd helped put his kids through college. And he didn't have a college degree. He worked for Xerox, fixing their engineering systems, all of their stuff. A job that now, no, someone could not have that. We never didn't live in a house, and I'm very grateful for that. But I look back now and realize how much has changed. That's why I am astonished, because I did live in a time. I lived in a family where we had a 4-bedroom house. We had a terrific educational system, and my dad didn't have a college degree, nor was he born in this country. So why is it that it's so much harder now? It's not that people are lazy. Oh, it's definitely not that.
To survive in this economy.
On one hand, conflicts in other parts of the world have affected energy prices and created instability in the markets. Additionally, difficulties in transporting goods have reduced the availability of products in many regions. As a result, more than 200,000 jobs have been indirectly affected, showing that the problem impacts multiple sectors. These factors have created an environment of uncertainty that continues to grow and affects both families and businesses.
For the last 7 months and trying to hide it. And I realized how many people are in the same shitty position that I'm in. So I'm going to tell you how I've been surviving it. I started this morning at 6 o'clock. I woke up at a rest stop where I slept in my car. Thank God it didn't rain last night. I got up, I drove to Planet Fitness. I fixed my hair, I brushed my teeth. I halfway charged my portable batteries so that I can run my cooler that pretty much like lives in my car all the time. People always ask me about those batteries. There's a lot more people than I realize that are in the same position or that are just on the road or on the go or whatever in need.
I'm in the Bay Area, and so I've seen people with jobs homeless for many, many years. Once the tech companies came in and, you know, the people that worked for those companies were making so much money they could pay cash for a house in San Francisco. I don't even know what that is. They could also pay any amount of rent that any landlord could throw at them. So that's when we started seeing people talk about San Francisco. It's because they were priced out. When I moved here in 2009. I lived there. I lived in the city for a long time. I left because I wanted quiet and because, yeah, I'd gotten priced out. But a lot of people are living in their cars and a lot of people are having a hard time. So be kind, folks. Drop a black heart if you've made it this far.
Need resources because we're humans, we're needy, right? So now I'm at the gas station. I figured out that truck stops and gate gas stations have microwaves. So I'm gonna heat some food up in this gas station and probably change my shirt. Later on, I do have a hotel reservation. Hopefully that will work out. I have mast cell activation and chemical sensitivity. So usually hotels don't work out for me, but I thought it's a Hilton. It's less fragranced. I thought I would give it a shot. Could really use a place.
In my car for about 9 months now, and here are 3 things that I think are non-negotiables if you're planning on moving into your car. First one is tinted windows. I don't think it's a good idea to move into your car unless you have tinted windows. And I do understand that tinted windows can be very...
First of all, this girl doesn't even look like she's old enough to have a driver's license. And she's living in her car. And yeah, the tinted windows, but sweetheart, anybody with a rock could go through there. Like, this is just... Even I struggled. How many of us have not struggled? But never did I ever have to resort to this. It's incredible that this is just happening. And of course, the government is, blaming us. It's our fault.
expensive, but I beg you to please find a way to pay for them because it's just not safe without them. Number 2 is a gym membership. This is where you will shower. This is where you will brush your teeth sometimes.
This is where you will get much despair, good God. Well, and let's go to that. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps because, you know, people are just lazy. Yeah, bullshit. You know how many people work so fucking hard in this country, 2 to 3 jobs, just to survive. And still some of them live in their car.
Over 150 jobs.
I've applied to 500 jobs this year and not heard back from any of them.
We have some pretty horrible economic news. United States layoffs are now surging to their highest point since the pandemic.
The big companies are the first wave, the medium companies are the second wave, and smaller companies are the third wave.
I worked for this company for 4 years. This just came out of... I'm to the point, I miss the days when you had to just go into a physical location, fill out an application, and you had one interview, you sat down, you talked to the freaking owner of the business, and at the end of it, you were offered a job or you were told no. I mean, I miss those days. Why in the flying do we have, why is it the way that it is today? I mean, 2 interviews and the questions that are asked, my goodness, I have never been asked such stupid ass questions in my entire life. The lady literally asked me, "Are you kind?" What the fuck? How does, like, what the fuck? How does, I don't understand. I'm going crazy. Like, are you guys hiring or not? Just, it's that simple. I'm fed the up. I'm fed
off from my corporate job yesterday. And I think that this is the reality for a lot of Americans right now, and it needs to be shared because America is not doing well right now. We have a 94% prediction rate that the recession is going to come, but yet our frickin' administration hasn't even made the move to actually say that a recession is coming. And let's actually call it what it is, a depression. People can't afford groceries, they can't afford rent, they can't afford buying houses, they can't afford having babies, they can't afford having the kids in general if they already have them. We are not in a good spot, y'all. I know that I'm just a number in a company, but I thought I was okay. You're going to think that you're okay because you've worked there for so long or you have the right experience. Like, you guys, I have an undergraduate in marketing, a master's in business, 6 years of paid social media experience.
Well, welcome to America. They sold us on, you need to have a college education in order to get a job. And really all that was to saddle us with student loan debt so that we would be forced to work for a corporation forever for 40 hours a week if we're lucky, maybe pay off those loans, maybe get better. But that's the thing. Ultimately, before we were all in a fog, still working and doing things, but there were still jobs. People were still able to do things. Now with AI and them cutting everything, what do they think is going to happen? I mean, people are struggling, and this is just the beginning, folks. Prepare yourself.
Americans at this point can no longer afford rent. That's a great sign. That's a great sign that our country is doing well. Let's talk about it. There has never been a time in this country that it's been more of a scam than it is right now. I'm going to tell you that. We have turned the basic human need for shelter into a derivative. We have turned your front door into a line item for some guy who works at a private equity firm whose idea of the American dream is just becoming an overlord. The hundreds of different houses where families can barely afford to pay their rents, and he can just kind of press down on them, right? They're his serfs. Pay me now or I'll throw you into the streets. Like I said in the other video, everyone's talking about the GDP. Everyone's talking about how great the economy is doing, but it's an entire charade. We talk about the tariffs. Right? The tariffs have had so much money, but 55% of the tariffs are being paid for by the American people. So the government is just harvesting money from the people like it's the new national crop.
Next to this path that I'm on, I was looking these homes up on Zillow, and you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $615, $625, $650 for these really tiny houses. I mean, they're not very big. You can see the properties they're sitting on are tiny. And yet people want $650,000 for these homes at what, 6.25% interest rates? Like, no wonder nobody can afford anything.
According to NBC, in Q2 of 2025, investors bought 1/3 of all single family homes sold, 1/3 of homes in a 3-month period. And now they're not just buying homes, they're building entire neighborhoods that you can never own. These are called built-to-rent communities. They look like your average subdivision, houses, driveways, backyards, but
these are called build-to-settle communities, where you'll live out your existence the way we want you to, at the price range we want you to, while we monitor your every move. This is disgusting.
every single home is rental only. Built to rent now accounts for 9% of all new single-family construction in the U.S. Companies like Tricon, which is part of Blackstone's real estate portfolio, are building these in...
Never forget, Blackstone is the Rothschild family. Remember, it's the families and those lineages that run this world. Politicians just dance for them and fuck us over.
Texas, Arizona, South Carolina. Look at this. A 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,900 square feet in Texas with fees comes out to $2,911 a month. They've got the cheap vinyl flooring, bathroom tile from the early 2000s, and a backyard the size of a shoebox. All for the low price of $3,000 a month. Their idea of solving the housing crisis is you will never own a house. You will rent a house instead of an apartment, but each year they'll still increase your rent.
Well, I can't afford my house anymore. My mortgage just went up. When I first purchased this house, it was $169,000. And with all of the insurance and stuff added in, my monthly payment was $1,450 a month. Then my mortgage goes up and they say, oh, the cost of materials have gone up. So in case anything happens to your house, we'd have to rebuild it. So the insurance has gone up. And then the value of the property went up. My payment went from $1,450 to $1,740. My mortgage is now $2,500 a month. So it went from $1,450 to now $2,500.
Mortgages.
It's astronomical what they're expecting us to pay, and yet the federal minimum wage is $7.75. Don't ever forget that. The fact that people are being paid more than that hourly is a fucking miracle, because the fact that it's that wage still in 2026, what does that tell you about the kind of quality of life they want us to have?
Dinner this week to save food for my kids. I am so sorry that our country has failed you. I think stories like this need to be pushed out more than mine, starting with a lot of the comments that were posted on the I'm an American video. I think it's important to share these stories, and I think it's important that people see the struggle. It will show people in other countries what it's actually like to live here. Not the propaganda version of America, but the reality. And I hope it will also show other Americans that they're not alone. I just think that this needs to be talked about more. It's shocking to me how many people from overseas are surprised by what I've had to say. And that's just me. I'm nowhere near the poorest of poor. There are people in these comments who, they have to live in cars, or they're just homeless in general. I think the world needs to know about this. It's not doing Americans justice to just share propaganda.
Law student Kalia Frost is down to one meal a day.
Got some bread and cheese in there, so it should last a couple more days, hopefully. People are going hungry. People are putting themselves in really risky situations because of this cost of living crisis.
And it's not
being evicted from my apartment. Yeah. So I live in a part of Florida. I mean, Florida itself is disgusting, but I live in one of the worst parts of Florida. And there's nothing here. And for the past year, I have financially struggled to the point of mental insanity. I have been stealing my groceries. I have been basically stealing anything I can just so I can survive. I'm like a little squirrel. And the stress from the financial instability has made my bipolar symptoms come back up. Oh no. So now they want me to medication. I didn't need to take medication for 4 years, but now I need medication.
that the problem impacts multiple sectors. These factors have created an environment of uncertainty that continues to grow and affects both families and businesses.
That the government shutdown is starting to show signs of worry in a lot of households, and that there is broad spread decline in sentiment among political groups, among population, ages, income.
Many people feel that the economy will not improve in the short term, which influences their decisions. Currently, the level of confidence stands at 28%, reflecting constant concern. As a result, many families have reduced their spending and avoid risks.
A year ago, I kind of had a nervous breakdown and stopped participating in capitalism. And what I mean by that is like, I stopped paying my bills and stopped giving a shit about my credit score that I had been working years and years and years to fix, because as I paid more and more, they were like,
that's the other thing. America is one of the only countries that has a credit score. I mean, this is the country, they want to judge you on everything. Well, we want to see your credit score. Now we want the blood of your firstborn and name him after us.
penalty. And so I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I just stopped. And like, now I'm getting all these things in the mail where they're like, you owe us money. And I'm like, prove it. And my credit score is somehow going up. It's like, we see all the hard work you've done at ignoring this. So like, we're going to give you points, because that's, I think, how it really works. So anyway, I guess the point is, none of this is real. We're on a big floating rock in the middle of, you know, the universe. Made up and the points don't matter. You're doing great.
I never once paid a dime of my student loans, and I am more than fine. This country tries to control us with fear and fear of debt. Treat it like it doesn't exist. I'm telling you right now, do not pay. What can...
Granted, he says that, but that's not true. Don't believe him. Student loan debt, it'll get you. I mean, they will haunt you to your debt, and even when you're dead, they will not discharge that debt. So as far as that goes, make sure you know what you're doing if you're not paying that, because one, they'll tank your credit score and they will make your life a living hell. Well, folks, that's all I have for you today, and mainly what I wanted to say is be kind to one another. This country is going through a lot. Every single person is. So regardless of the situation, just know that we're all in it together, and the kinder we are to one another, the better it will be. Take care, folks.